Hey, good morning, girls. Happy Friday. Wasn't sure if the video was going yet or not, so just kind of was like still posing. So, good morning. Great to have you out this morning. Um, a little bit chilly out here. You can actually see the smoke from the coffee, at least for a few minutes, right? While it's still warm. So, happy Friday. Great to have you here. I was cracking up at myself this morning. Get this open to our verse for today. I was too busy chasing a large black spider this morning. And when I say large, I mean like the size of a $50. Yeah. I don't do spiders well. I don't do bugs well. So I get a bug, I freak out. Husband's home, but of course he's sitting on the sofa and I'm like, there's a bug, there's a spider. I'll kill it. Now, why don't you come save your wife? So, anyhow, but I was laughing this morning. You know, I do these videos. I pretty much get up, get a cup of coffee, gather my stuff, come out here, and that's about it. That's the extent. I don't go and do makeup. I don't go and get all fancy dressed, and I don't, make sure every hair is in place and all that. And I cracked up because the one thing I do in the morning before I talk to you girls, I brush my teeth. That cracked me up. I thought, this morning, and it's just the way my brain works. Those that know me, I just kind of, I think strange sometimes. But I brush my teeth and I'm thinking, yeah, I got to make sure my teeth are brushed so I don't breathe any bad breath on folks. And I thought, oh, aren't you funny? You're on video, you're not in person with people. So there's my world, and that's how I live. I felt it's more important to brush my teeth than comb my hair to be on camera. So there you go. But anyhow, good morning. Happy Friday. Just a little laugh for you. And perhaps you guys have done that too, where you realize that you've done something little and you're like, why am I even doing it? They don't even know. I mean, it's kind of like back in college, I remember we'd wear the graduation, gowns and all. And half the guys underneath would have, they got the fancy shirt and a tie on. And underneath that is pretty much just shorts and flip-flops. Or they have dress shoes on, but the gown goes, long enough down. So, I don't know, just sometimes thoughts come into my head. Let's just leave it at that. Today, I'm excited. We're wrapping up the week. We've talked about a lot of really great stuff this week. If any of these you're missing, obviously they're here in the morning minutes, but you are in Healthy Mindset Cafe, but you've got to scroll through it. If you want to just go and say, okay, what topic do I want? You go to the YouTube channel because everything is there for you. Pretty much, I think 2 months worth is on there. So you can go there and get those. And I'll get that link up for you guys as well. And today we're going to actually talk about, and it's from an experience I had yesterday. So again, I'm bringing you something that's very real. And today's topic is when God moves. And I thought about that, and I thought that even though we may go through these trials and these challenges and these obstacles and the negative mindset and that chatter going on in our head, sometimes we need to be reminded how God moves. We need to be aware and be able to see what He's doing when He moves. And I really had that experience yesterday. God moved in such a way that I walked out after everything played out, and I went, wow, that is not what I expected out of this. And I'm still saying wow. But God is bigger than we are, girls. He is bigger than we are. Good morning, Kimberly. When God moves, it's amazing. We watch Him move. And in our lives, when we take things to God, we can actually see Him moving through things. Now, there may be little moves, like it just kind of inches along, like a little inchworm. Or it could be, it's like a frog that leaps from one pad to another. Or it could be like, you know, what do they call that furry thing? Bigfoot or something? You know, where he's got that leg span. I mean, they've never been able to prove he's real, but, you know, Greg's into the Bigfoot thing. He thinks it's funny. But, you know, taking those big steps. So we just never know how God's going to move. But what we have to know is that if we aren't seeking Him and asking Him, He's not going to move. You see, girls, it's like we don't just sit on the sofa and say, wow, it'd be really cool if God did this. And then we go about what we're doing. We've got to really be on point with Him, focused on Him, engaged with Him, conversation, praying, worship, word, all of that. And then we have to ask believing. Now, see, when I ask in a situation that I asked yesterday, maybe I didn't expect to get what happened out of it. I really didn't. I guess I was thinking smaller than God was, which is most of the time. But let's take a look here. I'm just trying to watch. All of a sudden the dogs are in hunting mode. Like, okay, we got a deer, we got a turkey hanging out at the fence. So anyhow, let's look at our verse today is Matthew chapter 7, verse 7. And in here it says, ask and it'll be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be open to you. And again, I always go a little bit further. For everyone who asks receives, and he who seeks finds, and him who knocks it will be opened. Or what man is there among you, if a son asks for bread, you will give him a stone? Or if he asks for a fish, you will give him a serpent? If then, being evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father, who is in heaven, give good things to those who ask Him? Therefore, whatever you want men to do to you, do also for them. Now, we look at this, and some people take this verse, and they're like, okay, all you gotta do is ask God. But you have to more than just ask. Because, see, God isn't Santa Claus. You don't just make a list out and say, okay, God, I need A, B, C, D. Oh, wait. I pushed my order button. It doesn't work like that. You see, girls, if we really want to hear God and watch Him move in our lives, there's things that we have to do. Because, see, when I went through a period in my life, 20, trying to count backwards, 21 years ago, wow, that's been a while, 21 years ago, being told that I had ovarian cancer. Now, it wasn't, I guess the level of it, they actually gave me an option of conservative medication or complete hysterectomy. And I thought, well, I'm, 30 years old, not married, never been married, don't have children. I don't think I want you cutting stuff out of me. But then I panicked, and I thought, okay, we're going to go conservative. We're going to do 3 months of this medication. And it wasn't chemo. They actually were using some of the hormones. And the purpose of it then was to slow it down. They didn't just cut it out. And so it was like, okay, well, let's do this. And I chose to go down that path because, number one, I don't do surgery well. And number two, I wanted that opportunity that if God saw fit that I could have a family. And bless you, Dante. And so I went through this process of putting this stuff in my body. And I have to be nice. Oops, sorry, that was Dante. That'll make you sick, won't it? Went through putting it in. And it drove me nuts. I mean, mentally, I was losing my mind. Basically, what happened is that it sent all the hormones and everything totally out of whack, so that I could be sitting there at my desk and just all of a sudden hysterically just fall apart. And when somebody asked me what was wrong, I couldn't tell them what. And I went through this for 3 months. And on numerous times I called the doctor and say, get me off this stuff, because I have to live a life. And I didn't. And then we went. The day before, I was supposed to go back to have another biopsy done, because what she wanted to know, was it slowing down? Did we catch it early enough? What do we do now? And so I had some friends lay hands and pray, and I prayed believing that I would be healed. I knew my God was bigger than this cancer. I knew it. And if he saw fit, he would heal. That's what I believe. And so they laid hands, and everybody's like, why didn't you tell us sooner? I said, well, some people knew, and we were praying. I said, but I wanted to let God move through this situation with me, and then bring it to a bigger group to pray. And so my girlfriend and I were walking out of that prayer meeting that night, and I looked at her, and I said, Kathy, God just healed my body. And of course, we walk out with a bounce in our step, thinking, yes, okay. And well, the doctor said, when I got in there that next morning, she says, all right, let's do the biopsy. I said, I'm good. God's healed through faith and prayer. And she says to me, I don't know if she's a Christian or not, but she says to me, well, that's wonderful, but let's confirm it with the test. And of course, I was like, oh, because I hadn't had children and all that, what happened when she did the test is basically my body would go into contractions. The first time, I had no idea, and that was horrible. I don't know how you women went through all that labor, because I only had to deal with it for like 10, 15 minutes, and I was ready to kill someone. The first time I put my nails through the table, the plastic, the fake leather that they had, the pleather on the seats, I had no idea what I was in for there. But she tells me after she does next biopsy, she says, okay, it's going to be 2 weeks before I have your results. And I thought, okay, well, I've already waited 3 months. What's 2 more weeks, right? She calls me a week later, and she says, I have good news and bad news. What do you want? And I'm like, okay, well, it's not 2 weeks. This is not good. I said, well, let's go for the good news. I needed that shot of encouragement for the moment. And she says, your biopsy came back and the cancer is gone. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's what I felt when I left. And you don't always feel it when God heals, but I did on that particular case. And then my mind went to, well, what's the bad news? And she says, it'll be another week before we have your pap back. And I went, who cares? At that point, who cares? And see, I go back and I celebrate with people, and I'm like, God answered, he healed. We're celebrating with the people in my church. We're excited. People at work said, well, obviously you weren't sick. Obviously you didn't have cancer. And I'm thinking, okay, ye of little faith and those people that don't believe. And then I go home to my mom and I tell her, Mom, God healed me. And she says, well, it's great he heals you. He won't listen to me. Talk about, bursting a bubble when you're celebrating what God's doing. And see the difference here. And I only tell this story because it's really clear. When I asked God for the healing and I sought him for it, I believed he would do it. And see, God answered. God answered in a way that I was hoping for in this case. You see, when my mom would say she was praying, she would say, I know you're too busy for me, but, so we've got to look at the how we're doing and what we're doing. So when we ask and when we seek and when we knock on this door that God has given us, we've got to believe he's going to come and open that door for you. You see, because if we knock in doubt and saying, God, God, if you have some spare time, could you help me? And God's going to look down. Can you imagine? And I have people that do this to me in my business. I know you're busy, but could you do? And it's like, where does that mindset come in? No. Hey, Robin, I need your help. Can you help me here? Hey, God, I'm hurting. I'm sick. We have a need. I believe you can do this. How are we approaching? Now, the other thing, too, when we're looking at when God moves, it's because somebody believes in him. You see, we can't go to God with this emergency wish list, fire list, whatever we want to call it, and yet not live a life that shows we believe in Jesus Christ. Because honestly, think about it. If somebody came to you saying, Robin, I don't like you. I don't like what you do. I don't like how you act, you look, you talk. But I want you to come hang out with me over here. Why don't you come over for dinner? Why would I go? You don't like me. You don't want to be around me. But why all of a sudden now do you want me to come to dinner? See, and that's the same thing with God. God is with us at all times. But girls, we turn our back on him. We have doubt, we have fear, we have disbelief on some of the times that we come to him. And I'm going to tell you this, when you focus on God, when you believe God can move, amazing things happen. Greater things than you ever can imagine. Because I'll tell you this, what happened yesterday for us, and I can't put it out there yet. We're gonna put it out there soon. I walked in expecting to say, okay, we'll be moving on. And instead, I heard, whatever you need, it's yours. Let's make this happen. We need you to do this. Not what I expected. And you can ask Greg, for those that know Greg, when I walked out yesterday and he was with me, I was just like, what just happened? God moved. Because see, what happened, and the reason God moved and why he moved in such a powerful way is because what I went forward with was because I had a heart of God for God. I had a heart for the women. And it was according to God's will. He moved. And girls, I'm going to tell you this. God didn't shovel that little anthill that was sitting on the side of the yard. God moved the stinking mountain in a way that I'm still sitting here this morning going, okay, did I just like dream that? Because I do really vivid dreams where I can actually see things being played out. And I'm like, was that just a dream last night? Was that not reality for me? That's how God moves. In mighty ways that you cannot explain, that you cannot describe. If we believe, if we seek, if we knock, if we ask. What's holding you back in your life today from letting God move in a mighty way? What does God need to shift in your life so you can move in a mighty way with him? I want you to think about that over the weekend, because girls, women of God empowered are unstoppable. Women are actually one of the most effective tools in reaching people. And I believe it's because with women, we actually have compassion that's natural. Men have the compassion too, but I think women actually have more of that compassion, the nurturing, because that's our nature. Because as moms, you're nurturing, compassionate, and more on that side. Or like with Greg here, he does have compassion, but he's more the analytical. He's more the, okay, let's get it fixed. He's a fixer. Where women have the compassion. That's what makes a man and a woman. That's why I believe God did marriage for a man and a woman, because when we come together, we complement each other. Because see, he wants to fix it all, and I have the compassion while it's being fixed. Can't both be fixers, because then you're going to bash heads. Can't both be compassion, because then nothing will get done. So I believe that that's a perfect mix. But go back to Matthew 7:7 and 8. I believe it's 7 and 8. Actually, it's Matthew 7, verses 7 to 12. Sorry, I need to write that down, so I add it to the list here. But go to God, seek Him, and He will move. It doesn't matter how big or how small, whatever it is you're seeking Him for. You just have to seek. You have to believe. And you also, girls, build your foundation with God. Spend time with Him daily. In worship, in word, in quietness. Because remember, God gave us 2 ears, 1 mouth. That's because He wants us to listen to Him. If He didn't want us to listen, He'd have 2 mouths. Could you picture that? Women with 2 mouths on each side, or a mouth on each side? Yeah, that would not be good. Because I already got a lot to say. You don't want 2 of me talking at you. So, anyhow, what do you need to shift in your life to allow God to move? Is it your lack of belief? Your increased doubt? Do you have a lot of fear? Are you missing time with God? What step can you take today so that you too can see God move in a mighty way in your life? And girls, He may already be moving, and praise God for that. But if He's already moving in your life, then I challenge you to take notes and write down in a journal how God is moving. Because there's going to be a time in your life, because we all hit it, where it seems like, hey, God, are you even there? We have those valleys. But the valleys are the preparation to get to the hilltop, or the mountaintop. Whew, what a big topic for today. All right, girls, where are you at? Are you waiting for God to move? Ask Him what you need to have Him be able to move. All right, have a blessed weekend. We'll catch you on Monday. And enjoy today. It's gorgeous out here today in the South. All right, love y'all. Bye-bye.